So, dear students, good afternoon to all of you. You are welcome in this class. Today, we are going to discuss art of writing research paper. So, before going into the details of art of writing, what kind of points I should keep in my mind while writing a research paper. Before going into that detail, let us see what do we mean by a communication. So communication means the art or act of transferring information from one place to another place. This is one. Or the imparting or exchanging of information. The exchange of information by way of speaking or by way of writing or using some other medium or media. That is known as your communication. Means exchange of ideas through spoken form, through written form, or through some symbolic language, whatsoever means you have. That is your communication. So it can be spoken or verbal communication, face to face. Through telephone, we communicate with each other, radio, television, and other media. So this is all spoken. Non-verbal communication, maybe from body language, gestures, how do we dress or act, even our scent, etc. These are non-verbal communication. You need not to speak anything. Just you have some gestures, postures through which you can communicate. Sometimes you get angry, and you just take your eyes up and just your body shakes and your face is red. So there are many ways of expressing different emotions. Written communications is through pen or computer, letters, emails, books, magazine, internet, via other media. There are a number of ways by which we do written communication or communication in writing. Visualizations. We can communicate through graphs, through charts, through maps, through logos, and other visualization media. So these are four important means of communication. Now, we come to the scientific communication because we want to link it to our research paper. So scientific or technical communication is the public communication of science-related topics to known experts. So actually, these kind of scientific or technical communications are, of course, scientific is mostly for experts, but this technical communication is for non-experts. Also includes communication between scientists, that is for experts, journals, as well as between scientists and non-scientists, especially during public controversies over science. So you have to communicate by writing or by some speeches. You need to communicate. So what are different medium for scientific communication? What are different routes of scientific communication? So one is report. So report is necessary in many cases. You have project report, you have visit report. Whenever you go outside, you need to give a report. Similarly, research proposals or grant proposals. Do you remember your ORW, outline of research work? So that is actually a research proposal. You are making a research proposal where you give some introduction, you write your name, roll number, this and that. You write name of guide, advisory committee, and then you write the topic, the materials method, and objectives, and so on. In the end, you also give references. So that is actually your PhD or MSc research proposal. Same way you can write grant proposal to get funding for research. Similarly, you also require to write some papers for journals, research journals or research articles, popular or technical articles, abstracts you need to write for, particularly for attending conferences, seminars, symposia, you write abstract. And you also write abstract of your thesis. You are very fresh or recently completed your MSc. If you recall that you must be having an abstract of your MSc thesis, and you must be knowing how you wrote your abstract. So abstracts are also written for thesis, for dissertation, or also for your, even in your reports, you need to write abstract. And then speeches. speeches, you got sometimes presentations in seminars, symposia, or in any scientific gathering. Sometimes you need to deliver the speeches. That is also scientific communication. Slide PPT presentation, what I am doing before you, dissertation, thesis, and poster presentations, assignments. You must be having experience of assignments, review paper, books or book chapters, annual reviews, proceedings, newsletters, annual reports, project reports, and many more. So these are all in written forms, mostly in written forms, except the speeches and slide presentation. And so you are seeing that there are variety of scientific communications. Now, anywhere, whether you are writing your thesis, whether you are writing research proposal, whatever you are writing out of all these, so some fundamentals are there, particularly your language. Language skills are very, very important. Sometimes people write one sentence carrying 5, 6, or 8 lines. That is joke. So you need to be very, very clear, simple, and concise. Do not write too lengthy sentences. Write short sentences, small sentences, clear and concise. Do not make things your wordy. Too many words should not be used. Simple, clear, and concise language. And for this, one can try newspaper. I advise students usually to read newspaper, watch news in English, write, do some practice, talking, conversation with each other, and dictionary, thesaurus, you can take help. Now, we discussed in the beginning why to write a research paper at all. So we discussed that public money is involved, knowledge is shared between us, and increases knowledge, stimulates debates, and encourages further work on the subject. So you see, increases knowledge on a subject. Very recently, some of you might be knowing that one nano-urea is in news, whether for good or bad, but many people are saying that this is good, and some people are saying that it is not good. So recently you got one paper from Plant and Soil also. So this is how, maybe good or bad, we don't know. But it has stimulated some discussion among the scientific community. So that particular paper, Plant and Soil paper, it got viral, almost viral in the world on nano-urea. So definitely people are now debating, even those who were not knowing about it, now they are discussing about nano-urea. So increases knowledge, stimulates debates, and encourages further work on the subject. So now many people have started doing work on nano-urea. Everybody likes to have one experiment on nano-urea, maybe good or bad, we don't know. So, and here I can cite one example of agrobiology subject. Agrobiology was basically started by Mr. Lee, and quantitative relationship between growth factors and growth. That is your agrobiology. So then based upon Mr. Lee equation, this Wilcox has given some principles of agrobiology, and he proposed certain laws. 3 laws were there: inverse yield nitrogen law, nitrogen constant 318, and one more was there. So, and then he was criticized by C.A. Black, criticized him. And all papers published in Agronomy Journal of American Society of Agronomy publishes Agronomy Journal. In Agronomy Journal, these Wilcox and C.A. Black et al., they wrote several papers. One proposed a theory, other rejected it, with some reasoning, some reasons. And it went on. There were about 8 to 10 papers on one subject. Somebody supporting certain ideas, somebody rejecting those ideas. So because of those discussion, one new subject emerged, which is now agrobiology. So such kind of some papers generate discussion in the public also. I can cite one more example of Seralini et al. 2012. So he said that long-term, he wrote a paper, long-term toxicity of Roundup herbicide and a Roundup tolerant genetically modified maize. So what was there in his paper? If you ask me in one line, what their paper said, that if you consume GM, GM food, then you will get cancer. He experimented on rats. And then he said, if you treat your normal maize with Roundup, that is glyphosate, then also you will have cancer. So means he said that when you take GM crop and use Roundup, then it becomes folktale. It is causing more severe cancer in rats. So then what happened, this Monsanto company, it was thinking that nobody will buy my GM seeds, nobody will buy my Roundup. So then what it do? It went to the journal, this food chemical toxicology, in which this Seralini paper was published. So later on, he removed the editor of the journal because the previous editor was not retracting that study, not deleting that study. So they reappointed new editor who deleted this study from their journal. So it has also stimulated interest. And see, it was republished in another journal, which is, you can see this, republished in Environmental Science Bureau. So also you can get some controversies and some discussions and so on by writing papers. Now, friends, you know, we do a lot of research. Volume of research is done. You see this square. And actually, whatever research is done, all is not good. Maybe not required also. Some may be rubbish, just rubbish. So what happens, the effective research is actually less than the total research. Whatever research has been done, the real research or useful research, effective research is much less than the total research. And not all effective research is written by people. Then only few people, less number of people write their research work. And then, okay, many people write, but not all people are so fortunate to get their research published. So then the number is further reduced. So after so many papers may be rejected, and then some are published. And then, okay, number of papers are published, you can see. And then research read means your papers will be read by only few people. So starting from total research up to research read, how many people are reading your research is very, very small number. And seeing all this, Ruskin Bond, you might be knowing, he is staying in Dehradun, I think. So he said that anyone can write a book. That is true. Anybody can write a book, but not everyone will read it. Everyone will read it only when it is a good book. So anybody can be part of total research, but not all people will be there in effective research. And then all people of effective research will not write it, and all will not be published, and all will not be read. So you can see a very small fraction of total research is actually being used by people. Read means here read by people, and then they can use it. So you can see how important is writing a paper. Very small research is read by people out of total research done in the world. So therefore, if your research paper is good, fantastic, and it has got some meaning, and it has got some really some good output, then people may read it, and people may refer it, people may cite it. Now, suppose you have conducted your work, and now you are going to publish it, and before publication, you are going to submit it. So what editors see, the editor of the journal will see whether the information in the paper is new, significant, and worth publishing. This is important. First, whenever you communicate your paper to a journal, it is at first seen by the editor, the main editor. And if he is satisfied, he or she is satisfied, then only they will refer it to the reviewer or to the referee. Otherwise, they will reject at their own level. This you might have experienced, some of you might have experienced, particularly Indian Journal of Agriculture Science. Within 2-3 days, you will get response. We are not able to review your paper, so publish it somewhere else. They reject it. Or otherwise, it has to be a good piece of work. if it is excellent piece of work, then it will be published. So I'll tell you what do we mean by good piece of work. Now, choosing a journal, what should I keep in my mind while I choose a journal? So first of all, the scope and aim of the journal. I must see that what is the scope, what kind of subject this journal is publishing, and what are the aims of this journal. Then only I can choose it. Suppose I have done work on wheat science and I want to get it published in some biotechnology journal directly. Means wheat science means typical agronomic research. Then it will not be published in biotechnological journal. Or the work which is related to, say, insect pest management cannot be published in wheat journal. So you need to see, you need to match your research, scope of your research with the scope of your journal. How often a journal is published? So definitely if journal is published once in a year or twice in a year, then people may not be interested. So people want more frequency of journal. Then you will get more chance of publication. So people normally prefer journal who is having more frequencies. What type of articles does the journal publish? You must see, is it full article? Is it short article? Is it review article? Is it original article? So you need to see that one also. Are there any condition to submit? Some journal have certain conditions, like they will ask you membership. You might be knowing about fee, 1, 2, or 3 year data. Sometimes they say, okay, you have 1 year data, we will not publish. You have long-term data, we will publish. So such conditions are also there. And then statistical analysis. Some journals are very say soft on statistical analysis, but some are very particular about statistical analysis. Any mistake in statistical analysis, your paper will be rejected. So you need to see ease in this area also. Photographs, do they charge the money for photograph? Because you may be interested to get some colored pictures published. So you need to check that also before you submit a paper. Impact factor is also important. Impact factor means how many people are referring it, how important this paper is, how many people are reading it or citing it. That results in impact factors. So if a paper is read by more people, cited by more people, then the journal which is having such kind of papers which are cited by more people, then it will have more impact factor. I'll touch this subject, impact factor. And what are the journal style? Sometimes journal style may be simple, or sometimes it may be very, very complex. So you need to see journal style also. For example, some references. Some journals say that you write the references in the text, in the running text. Some journals say just you write the number of the reference, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then in the reference section where you give your details of references, there you also give number 1, 2, 3, 4. So then it becomes a bit complicated. So there are many other things which you may consider on journal style also. Now, this is important, friends, before you write, at the time of writing papers. So don't give gift authorship. Of course, now these days it is happening very frequently because people want to help each other. Students want to help each other. I'm not against it, but you have to be somewhat not very open. Not very open. Somebody who is genuinely involved in it, have done some help to you in writing paper, or was part of your research program, then you can give authorship. But these days, what is happening that one is giving other's name, other will give your name. So this is happening. And also some journals are paid journals. They ask for money. So if you are 10 authors, then it is easy to fund the paper. You can divide the required fee into number of authors. If you have 2 authors and rupees 2 lakh is to be given, so everybody, one will give 1 lakh. If you are 20 authors, then this money will be very nominal money for 1 author. So that is, I don't have many comments on this. And you should not have this useless kind of work. You should not submit for publication. Plagiarism is also important. You should not plagiarize. This is, I think, somebody must have taken lectures on this subject, plagiarism. So one should avoid it. Fabrication means just you have not done any work, you have not recorded any data, but you have produced the data. That is fabrication. Falsification, you have produced some data, but you have changed it. That is falsification. Conflict of interest means you are not citing the people who have funded your work, who have helped it, or you are not giving them authorship. I can give example of chairperson. If a student is writing paper, he should give name of his or her chairperson. And sometimes when students left IRI and they go outside, they forget to add name of chairperson or other people who have helped him. And it can happen other way around also. Sometimes a student has left and chairperson will not give name of the student. And this is one kind of conflict of interest. There are a number of conflict of interest in writing papers. This is on plagiarism. So making it, are you listening to me? Nitin?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, you are careful.
Yes, sir.
Then it is fine. Otherwise, anyway, making a plan for the article. Now you are actually going to write a paper, but before that, even before that, you can make a plan. So look at the journal. Some journal have, most of the journal have some common headings, common style, but on certain points, certain things, they may have some variability, some variations. So first you see the journal style for parts of the paper. Almost every journal will have introduction. Some actually write introduction word there. Some do not write this introduction word, but it may be there. You have to introduce your topic. So what you write in introduction, why did I do this, the work, why the research was conducted, and what were the objectives, and what did I want to find. I will discuss in detail this introduction. Then comes materials. So in most of the papers, you will find materials and methods, they are combined. So material means what did I use and how did I use it. The materials that you have used, like soil you have used, fertilizer you have used, seed you have used, all those things, and how you have used it. How you applied fertilizer, how you applied water, those are to be discussed in materials. And methods, what did I do and how did I do it? This methods means your particularly scientific methods you need to mention here. Results, what happened, what was your outcome, discussion, why it has happened, or what does it all mean. So you need to explain your results here in the discussion part. And conclusion is your what are the implications. So these implications are very, very important part of conclusions. In some journals, you will find result and discussion is combined. Even certain students in MSc, they combine their result and discussion. But certain students write it separate in separate chapters, result and discussion. In research papers, sometimes I have seen that result section is different, is independent, and discussion and conclusions are combined. So you need to check the style of the journal, and you must respect, you must follow the style of the journal. And then acknowledgement, you can give acknowledgement of 2-3 lines, like funding agency, your institute, your organization, or people who help you. Then in the end, you have to give references. Now, different parts of the paper, just now I have discussed. And overall, you can see whatever topics may be there, titles may be there, headings may be there. But overall, you must know the reason for doing this work, what was known and what was not known before, and the logic leading to this research. What the work was expected to show, or the objectives and the hypothesis under the test. And now from point 1 to 3, this is actually your introduction part. If you can clearly understand these 3 points, then half of the battle has been won. Because introduction is very, very, or rather most important part, where you would be able to convince the reviewer, editor, or author that this work was really very, very important, And this work is not repetition of previous work, and this knowledge will add something new to the existing knowledge. You have to prove here in the introduction. Then the editor or reviewer may be interested to read it further. So this is most important part. So now I want you to do some exercise on this topic. Means introduction, how to write introduction. So any one of you can come forward. One of you can come forward and tell me title of your thesis or title of your paper. Then we will discuss what were the reasons to conduct that work, what was known, on all these 3 points, how one can write introduction and what are the consideration in introduction. You can tell me any topic. Anybody can come and tell me your topic of MSc thesis or your any paper.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The effect of organic and inorganic plant growth promoters on plant on.
Let me write your topic, because your name.
Sir, Sunil.
Sunil, कोई बात बताओ.
The effect of organic and inorganic plant growth promoters on different wheat varieties.
Organic and
Inorganic.
Chemical.
Yes, sir.
Effect of organic and
inorganic plant growth promoters, sir.
plant
Gibberellin, CBD extract, micronutrients.
Promoters on. बोल यार जल्दी बोल. Plant growth promoters on
different wheat performance of different wheat varieties, sir.
Performance of different wheat varieties. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Different wheat varieties. So dear students, I just try to make kind of practical here for you to understand how you can write introduction and what do we mean by research gap and what is your hypothesis. So, and how to write objectives. So these 3 things we will learn. First, we will see why this research work was done. What was the existing knowledge? What new you wanted to add to it? And what was your hypothesis? And based upon your hypothesis, what were your objectives? So let us try to learn the difference in hypothesis, research gaps, and objectives, etc. So now you listen carefully. Effect of organic and inorganic plant growth promoters on performance of different wheat varieties. So actually you need to choose the keywords from this title. Keywords from this title, performance of wheat varieties, and see which part is more important. Which part of this title is more important. So here you see, one is organic and inorganic plant growth regulator. One part is inorganic and organic plant growth regulator. Other part is performance of wheat varieties. Performance of wheat varieties. So we cannot start from growth regulators. They are not the mainstay. They have been used to help somebody else. These growth regulators have been used to get the better performance of wheat varieties, isn't it? So overall, in this title, what you see, that the wheat crop is more important. Okay, wheat crop is more important. So this is one point. Second point is that now you have wheat varieties also. So there may be some logic to test the varieties. Okay, I must have taken some variety. Sunil, was it for lodging? Lodging of wheat, or to reduce the lodging in wheat?
No, sir.
Sunil.
Yes, sir.
You have taken 5 varieties and growth regulator. That means the experiment focused on lodging. Reducing the, यार बोलो यार, यहाँ इतना टाइम नहीं मेरे पास. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
बोलो ना.
Hello,
Was it for lodging?
sir. Sir,
हाँ.
different promoters, sir, effect on varieties, sir. Like,
You have taken varieties, wheat varieties. Your purpose was to see lodging in them and control the lodging by growth regulators, isn't it?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now you see, first thing is that he has taken wheat crop. In wheat crop, he found that there is problem of lodging. So let me take 5 or 4 varieties. So he want to reduce the lodging by identifying the variety. Which variety will he wanted to see, is there any variety that will have less lodging and give me more yield? Or is there any variety which has more growth, but I can use growth regulator to manage its growth, to reduce its growth? Can I get more yield than the variety which was not lodging? So there may be many purposes of taking these varieties. The main purpose was to get more yield. Overall, what you see, why he has taken varieties? Just we want to achieve more yield of wheat. Similarly, he is using growth regulators to get the better performance of wheat. Better performance does not mean more dry matter, more biomass always. You need optimum growth. For this, you need the best yield. The grain yield should be increased. That is the basic purpose. More grain yield you want by using varieties and growth regulators. So first of all, you need to understand, analyze the topic or area of your work critically. Give critical thinking on this. And once you have thought of the idea that, okay, I want to overall in one word, I can say the main purpose was to increase the wheat yield. So now if I start writing my paper, then in the first line or in the first paragraph, I must deal with the wheat crop. I must say, reason for doing the work means here, the wheat yields are low. The yield of wheat in India are low, are very low yield are there. To support your statement, you must give a reference here. The yield is, say, 3 ton per hectare or so. Whatever yield is there, you can give a reference. So that actually prompted you to work on this crop because I was getting less yield of wheat. So that is the main thing here that you want to increase. Now, you need to write in your literature or in the next sentences that there are many reasons for low yield of wheat. You need to analyze the reasons why yield is low. Are the farmers using traditional varieties? You need to support every statement with some references. Why the yields of wheat are low? Are farmers using bad quality seed, or are they using traditional varieties which are susceptible to insect pests and diseases? Is their soil fertility not good? Is it they are not having fertile soils? There may be many reasons for low yields. Land may be land may have salinity, so there could be many reasons. But you need to be in brief. That depends upon your style, how you write. So you can be brief. Just read any international paper, good paper. You will see in 1 or 2 sentences, these people can very effectively write all the reasons for low yield of wheat. So if you start writing, then you will write 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. But you need to finish the thing in 1 or 2 sentences. So for example, here I can say, wheat yield is low in India because of poor genetic base. Within bracket, reference, low fertility. Within bracket, you give reference that somebody must have tested wheat fertility, wheat soil fertility. And then you can give more incidence of rust. Within bracket, you can give a reference. And just in one sentence, you can give all the reasons for low yield of wheat. Now, next sentence, if you have found that yields are low, then next sentence, and in this case also, you need to give one reason as crop lodging. You give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reasons for low yield of wheat. And the last reason you can mention the lodging, crop lodging and lodging. Within bracket, somebody must have given you data on lodging of wheat. Okay, now you have come to lodging because you are making a logical sequence of the. After lodging, now you can write one sentence, one statement that because of lodging in wheat, so much of yield reduction and quality reduction happens. So much of protein content declines or so much of losses to grain happens. Just in 10 words, you can write it. Within bracket, you give references, or you can write that Sharma and Singh has reported 30% decrease in wheat yield due to lodging. Okay, now you have proved that lodging has reduced yield of my wheat. There are many things that can reduce the yield of wheat, but lodging is very, very important. Okay, now, after lodging, then you have to write the sentence that what has been done to reduce the lodging. What has been done to reduce the lodging. Then you can say attempts have been made, several attempts have been made to reduce lodging by some building work. Within bracket, you can give some reference, and then you can give that management of fertilizers. Somebody must have used certain fertilizers because nitrogenous fertilizer increases lodging. So you can give some references that fertilizer management can also, improper fertilizer management can also increase lodging. Or somebody can manage lodging through proper fertilizer management, means reduce nitrogen rates. Next, you can write irrigation. Irrigation can also affect your lodging. So through irrigation also you can manage lodging. If you apply more water, if you apply more irrigation, there will be more lodging, crop lodging. So you can say that lodging can be managed by irrigation. And then likewise, you can think of some more reasons, like somebody must have added more of calcium, more of potassium to the soil. Lodging can be reduced. So many methods, many practices must have been followed by people. And of course, the growth regulators. In the end, you can come down to the growth regulators. Then in growth regulator also, you need to write that several, in some cases, a few, or here you can start that few studies have been made on effect of growth regulator in reducing lodging in wheat. However, most of these studies were conducted in European countries or in, you can say, in northwestern plain zone, but such information is not available in northeastern plain zone of wheat. You can say like this. Means you need to find the gap where this research has not been done. You have to prove that this research has not been done on this subject in my part, in my region, in my country. So if you have more geographical area of the problem, you have more chances of acceptance. If it is a smaller area, then you have less. So you need to be a bit broader. As I said, northeastern plain zone. That is why some people write in their title Indo-Gangetic plains. Somebody writes in North Hill zone. Somebody writes in the dryland ecologies, like that. So you need to be a bit broader. That problem is related to larger area. So that consideration is also there. Then you need to find out the gaps. Again, you need to find out some more gaps. For example, growth regulators or comparison of organic and inorganic growth regulator was not made in wheat crop in this particular part or in these particular varieties. So you can find such kind of gaps. And then you need to make some hypothesis. Hypothesis means here you are using organic and inorganic plant growth regulator. Organic and inorganic plant growth regulators you are using. So you can make some assumptions. You can make some assumptions, and those assumptions are your hypothesis. So here you can consider in your mind that we thought it proper. we thought, THOUGST, we thought it proper to use organic and inorganic plant growth promoters that can increase or that can reduce the lodging and increase the yield. This is your hypothesis. Okay. Growth regulators. Simply, growth regulators may promote the growth or may reduce the lodging and increase the yield. That is your hypothesis. Just this is your thinking, but you are not sure. Is it clear? This hypothesis means these growth regulators, organic and inorganic growth regulators, can reduce or may reduce lodging in wheat and increase the yield. So this is your actually hypothesis. This is your thinking. These are your assumptions. You are not sure. So therefore, you want to test your hypothesis with the help of certain objectives. You will test your hypothesis with the help of certain objectives. Now here, you can make objectives like effect of organic, and then it is easy to make objectives. Effect of organic and inorganic plant growth promoters. They will be, I'm sorry, I was talking regulator. He's saying it is promoter. Okay, so I think thing has gone wrong way. Assume that it was regulator. I'm sorry. Assume it was growth regulator, it was not promoter. So growth promoter is to promote the growth. Regulator can control the growth, can optimize the growth. So in this case, your objective will be effect of organic and inorganic plant regulator on growth. You can check growth, yield attribute, or lodging, or uptake of nutrients, or your whatever dependent variable you want. You can take those variables. On economics, so many things can be taken. So you can make your 2, 3, or 4 objectives, and then you can work on this problem. You can find the solution. Is it okay? Any point you want to discuss about it? If anybody has not understood, you can tell me a topic. You can tell me a topic, and I can make you understand how we can make interpretation of reasons for doing the work, the lodging, and how to fit review of literature in the introduction part, and then how to find out the gaps, and then your hypothesis, and finally your objectives. So if you have any confusion in these points, you can ask me, and I will explain you with your own example. Yeah, Rajsekhar, anybody has any doubt, any problem, I can re-explain it.
It is clear, sir.
Pardon?
Clear, sir.
Clear, okay. So to do so, what I suggest you, don't do much, just think from this perspective. When you go to write a paper, your own paper, MSc paper, on the same line, almost on the same line, you get some good paper, international journal paper, or any good paper you think, and just read introduction from 3, 4 papers. Just read them, and then see how they are linking one sentence to another sentence, how they link, how they make it a story. It has to be in a story mode. One sentence should be linked to another sentence and so on. It has to be in continuity so that the reader is happy and things are very, very clear to you. So then once you have done this job, you have written the objectives and the hypothesis under the test. The setting, then you will test your hypothesis through some experimentation, and then you set up one experiment. You will make experimental plant. You will use material methods. You will collect the data. Even in your thesis, when you write material and method, you also write, if you remember, how you recorded the data, the methods of recording the data you mention in that. You also mention the materials, and then in your thesis, you already have your results, your data. And data were analyzed through some statistical softwares or some statistical tests were employed, then to draw some meaning of your data. And in your discussion part, you'll find some implications of the results and directions for your future use and then references. Now, actually, implication word is very frequently used, and many times students or we also do not understand the meaning of implications. But in almost every second research paper, you will find this implication word in discussion part. So let us understand what we mean by implications is uljan, pareshani. The conclusion that can be drawn from something, although it is not explicitly stated. The conclusion that can be drawn, that can be written from something, although it is not clearly stated. It is not clearly means when there is some confusion in your conclusion, you are not sure about it. So that is your implication. The implication is examples are given, how to use it. The implication is that no one person at the bank is responsible. There must have been some misdeed in bank. So the implication is, Jhanjat is that no one person at the bank is responsible. He was suspected of implication in several robberies, involvement, but you are not sure he was implicated. Sometimes you can be implicated. They failed to consider the wider implication of their actions. A likely other meaning of implication is a likely consequence of something. You can have certain consequences, implications. So many people are unaware of the implications of such reforms or such bill. We don't know. Her victory had important political implications. Forget for a moment the political or even economic implications of the shifts in population. Now, in manuscript, are you comfortable, or should I stop lecturing you on this subject? It is up to you. If you want 10, if you can stay for 10-15 minutes, fine. Otherwise, we can meet at some other occasion.
Sir, I have another class, sir.
You have, and any other people have class? What is others' view? Hello? I think you are no more interested, that shows. So I can stop it here. And